Right, what are we looking at today? Boosh, it's yet another headlamp. Now this channel seems to do millions of headlamps, but I do genuinely use them. I go hiking at night all the time, so it's something of an interest for me, and I certainly put them through their paces. If you've checked out here it is, the initial thoughts video, which I think was my second hike, I really liked it, and there's a few things that have become more apparent as the review as my review process has gone on, and I've carried this now for more than 3 weeks now, maybe. I mean, I like to have at least 2 weeks in the pocket every day or out and about hiking, so you've got at least 3 weeks on this one. I've put it through every test I can think imaginable, and I've compared it with a million lights. Here's all the other ones, 10 other lights or something I went out with. So anyway, that's just a brief rundown of what this is going to be about. So this is the full review now of the Olight Perun 2. There was a Perun before this, and I can't remember if it had this little proximity sensor, because that's the big selling point in this one. It's larger than the 18650 because it's using the largest cells, the 21700. So if you think, let me just show you. So here's a 21700. This just happens to be a Samsung cell I have in here, and I'll show you. So they're quite large and heavy, but you get more capacity because of that, so there's more juice in them. So there's a standard Samsung 40T, has around 4000 milliamp hours, and that will do about 30 amps. And the lithium ion, that's the battery chemistry here. So there you go, that's a genuine Samsung there. So quite large in comparison. I shall just pull out, I'll have a look in here. There's an 18650, happens to be, there's a flat top. So look, big difference in size, look there. So diameter and length, so diameter is bigger and the length's bigger. So you're getting more power, but obviously more, you've got to carry more, that's the problem. So you've got to ask yourself, is that weight worth it? Well, let's find out. Okay, so this is the Perun 2, and it comes with the proximity sensor, which is a quite nice little feature, and it has a maximum output of 2500 lumens. If you excuse me while I just do a bit of serious screwing here. There you go, done. Okay, so pop that in there. Right, back to what I'm supposed to be doing. So like I say, maximum 2500 lumens. That's on all the choices you can get on this, because it only comes in cool white, and when I talk about cool white, I'm talking about the actual tint. And I know sometimes people say that that's not what tint means. It does in the flashlight world. It refers to the color as a Kelvin value, so it's quite white. It's not like the Army Tex, where, I mean, this Army Tex, that's quite sort of yellowy and browny, and that's what you would call a warm light. This one's more cool. It's not way up there to like a 6500 Kelvin value. It's lower than that, and I'll cover that. I think it was about 5500, but I will cover that in a moment. So here's the box. I'll just quickly show you the box, because there's nothing more boring than staring at a box. I've done this in 4K, so if you want to pause that, you can, and have a read of that. There you go. There's your specifications, which I will go off in a moment. And 1.5 meter drop rating, brilliant. 5-year warranty, brilliant. IPX8, so waterproof, but I will cover that. Okay, so let's get out of the box. Obviously, I've carried this. I've put this back the best I can. So here's all the things you get. So you get your headband, which we'll go over momentarily. There's your magnetic charging unit. That's the booklet that I didn't bother reading because I can't be bothered. And that was just something that came with the end of the USB Type A connector. There's your lanyard, which I didn't use, but you get it anyway. That's it there. And interestingly, I don't know whether this is for people with fat fingers, but you get this little tool. Now, I thought this was a sim release tool. It isn't. Or like a crochet hook. It isn't. It's to help you get, and I'll show you if we take this out, because that's everything in the box. And then in the bottom it says, thanks very much for all the dosh up yours, right, boosh. So what it does is it helps you thread through. So can you see here, there's the attachment point for this. So if you were going to use the lanyard, how would you get that through there? Unless you use a cocktail stick, which is what I've always done, or a sim release tool. You can use that to, like a crochet hook there, to push it through and pull it through. So you just put it here, get the tool, pull it through, engage that hook and pull it through. And it makes it much more easy. They didn't have to add that, but it certainly takes away the stress of doing that. But for me, I don't really use these sort of things. We'll do the strength test as I always do. So pull this until it hurts. I've got no doubts that that's extremely strong. Ow, that is now hurting, as you can see there. No problems. Feels extremely really nice, actually. It almost feels like a triple layer. I don't know if it is, but it's extremely soft. It is branded. and braided on the outside there. Very nice, and it has a spring-loaded cinch, which is nice to see. Some of them are useless. They come with a cinch which doesn't really work. I mean, you can see the mark that's been left there because it's so soft. Brilliant. So extremely high quality. I've got no problems with that. Nice cinch. Feels beautiful. In fact, it feels better than some of my socks I've got for running. That's brilliant, that. But again, I haven't used this. But if you do use cinches, that's extremely premium feeling and it looks solid. Get rid of that. Okay, so let's go over the light here itself. So here's the light itself. Now I've put the clip back on, although I didn't use it. I used it for a few days. It's a double-sided sort of. Now bear in mind, I did do some testing. It doesn't come off unless you really force it. Watch, if I really keep forcing it. Watch here, it'll slightly rotate. Keep. And then eventually there, did you see that? Now that took a lot of force to do that. So a lot of force there, and then it moves, but it didn't come off. Whereas a lot of them, you do that and it comes flying off and goes, you know, into the neighbour's garden. So really good clip. It's nice and springy but retentive, and it is a two-way, so you can put that in your pockets there. It's deep carry, which is brilliant. So an excellent clip, two-way. You've got a lot of options there, and it's removable. Look, you just pull it off, boom, like that. Perfect. And it didn't, you know, annihilate the paint. Although if you're wondering what all this is dust, because I have genuinely carried this for weeks in my pocket, so it's collected dust. Okay, so put that to one side. So here's the light itself. Now the first issue I had with it is the knurling looks beautiful. Look at that. I think that looks really, really nice. It's an extremely beautiful design. However, in this direction, it works great. Look, it's causing friction and not allowing my thumb to move if I give it any amount of pressure. However, sideways, there's nothing stopping my thumb. So I think they need to really rethink this. Maybe, I know this is a beautiful design, but maybe put some little gouges in every other one of these or something. Because the whole point of knurling is, knurling's normally at that angle and that angle, like a diamond formation. So no matter what direction you're moving in, it shouldn't matter. Because bear in mind, if this is in, imagine this is in the holder on your head. When you want to rotate it, what do? You're going to do this, aren't you? That sort of rotation on the central axis. Well, there's no grip. So what I ended up having to do was gripping this or the head, or pulling it by the head. But then when you're pulling it by the head, if that's too attached, watch, the head starts coming off. See? Which in itself isn't a problem because you can put it back on again, but that disengages the circuit. So if this is turned on and I do that, see how it's just turned off? And then back on again and back off. So I think they need to, I know I'm being picky here, but they really need to rethink this knurling. Although having said that, the retention in this isn't that tight. So there's a possibility that maybe they've realised that, and when this is in, it's quite easy to rotate. It was worryingly easy because I thought, is that going to start flopping about? It didn't in all testing. So I think maybe they've thought about that, but knurling, sorry to rabbit on about knurling, but anyway, that's what I think. So it's a beautiful piece. There's the head. It's got like, you know, a Persuado heat sink system here, and it worked fantastic with heat. Even on turbo, it didn't get particularly hot, and it has a 2-minute step down. There's the head itself, and it uses a TIR, so total internal refraction, so you get a lovely smooth beam. Although if you notice, it's clear in the middle, so you do get this punchy hot spot. I'll show you that. So there's the punchy hot spot. Can you see it there? Up closer you'll see it more there. See it there? But then any appreciable distance away, and it's absolutely fine. Beautiful, and it's just really nice spread on this beam. Really, really liked it. And if you notice, there is a proximity sensor, which I'll go over when I show you the UI. There's the button. Nothing special about the button. I would have preferred to have seen it a little bit recessed. Maybe it's like the zebra lights or something like that. It isn't, but it does have e-lock out, and if you want to turn it off, you can just go like that there. It isn't going to work in your pocket. That's what I did when I was at work, and then it's working again. So, and it does have e-lock. I quite like a recessed button. I don't know why manufacturers won't do it. I think the fear that it means we'll make that a little bit bigger and then there's a recess. I get it. Okay, so let's go over the UI, and to do that, I'll put the box there so you can see. In fact, I'll show you so you got there's all your modes there. So lowest mode. So if you want to go to the lowest mode, you click and hold. So click and hold, and it goes to lowest. 5 lumens. I know normally I rabbit on and I say, well, I like 1 lumen or sub-lumen so it doesn't ruin night vision. However, because this is a headlamp and it's going to be way back from what it is you're doing or holding, you could argue that's not such an issue. I'll let them off in this instance, but I would have liked to have seen a 1 lumen maybe, or something like that, but it isn't. So 5 lumens, and they're saying you'll get 12.5 days on the included cell, which is a 4000 mAh Olight proprietary cell, and I'll cover the proprietary nature later. Okay, so if you click and hold, it goes through the modes. So there's low, 30 lumens, you'll get 66 hours. Medium, 120 lumens, and they claim you'll get 18 hours on that, which is pretty decent. And then high, so that's your highest normal setting with no step down, 500 lumens. However, then you have a turbo. So the turbo is 2500. Now already I can feel a little bit of heat on that, not much though, because that's only 500 lumens. And bear in mind you're going to get 270 minutes out of that, which is really, really good. So if you did want turbo, it's a double click from off or from whatever mode you're in. So they're extremely bright. So there's your top mode. Now bear in mind, 2500 lumens. It will get hot. It didn't get ridiculously hot when I tested it. However, it will have a step down. Now it's a timed step down, and thank you Olight for being honest and just saying we have a step down, and it's not 30 seconds, which is ludicrous as you get on some of the Fireflies. It steps, yeah, I know this is using way more lumens. It's 4500 lumens instead of 2500, but at least they're being honest on this instance. And it steps down from 2500 after 2 minutes to 800. Strangely, I don't know why I didn't go down to the high mode, which is 500, but it doesn't matter. At least it's not stepping down too much. And at least you can plan in your mind and think, right, I've got this on turbo because I'm looking at the distance and I know I've got 2 minutes. And if you did want to re-engage it, you could just turn it off and go back to turbo again. So it's not really an issue. Now, in regards to this proximity sensor, this only works in a few modes. So you've got high and turbo. So in those 2 modes, the proximity sensor comes into play. So if we're in low, it doesn't do anything. That's ultra low. Then you've got low, it does nothing. Medium, it does nothing. Right, we're now in high. Watch, it will step down when it gets within proximity of my hand. So you keep watching. No, it didn't. I must be going mad here. So we'll turn it on. So low, medium, high. Now that should, I'll try it on here. There, okay, it was maybe too close. Okay, so if you watch, step, did you see that? So it's hard to see on camera, but step, did you see it? And then if I pull back, it goes up, step down, do you see that? And up, and step down, and up, and step down. So you see that? So it will also do the same on turbo. Say if we're on turbo, which is double press. So there's extremely bright, and then as we bring this down, step, did you see that? Rapid step there, and up, and then step down. So what's the point of that? Well, the point of that is if you're reading a map or something, or you're really close, and you happen to have turbo and you do that, you don't want to blind yourself. So what's the point in it being at that level? It's ludicrous. So what it does is it's automatically adjusting itself. So actually it's quite a handy feature. I thought it would be a gimmick and a waste of time. It isn't, and I actually quite enjoyed using it. And I found a few times when it fired and I thought, actually, yeah, I should have turned my headlamp down at this point when I was near structures and things like that. So it is an actual half decent system. I was quite impressed. I thought I wouldn't like that. What I would have preferred if they could have moved that slightly to the side and added a red light mode, but you know, you can't have everything. So as I say, click and hold is ultra low, then you've got 1 click on, 1 click off. Click and hold for your modes, it cycles through, so you've got low, medium, high, low, medium, high, and at any point, double click for turbo and then off again. You can e-lock, so if you click and hold for 2 seconds, there you go, that's now locked. So you can't get any of the modes other than in auxiliary mode, as in you get momentary light, which is brilliant. I love that feature, and that's something that you get in Angular, and I love it. It means you can pull it out of your pocket, get a little bit of light, put it back. You didn't have to unlock it. To unlock again, it's 2 seconds. There, we're back to normal. So you can turn it on and off, back to normal. You do have an SOS mode, 3 clicks, 1, 2, 3, but you know, who uses that? Probably not many people, but there you go. You've got that, and it'll blink out the Morse code for SOS at full power. So you've got that. There's no strobe, or not that I was able to find. So it's pretty decent, and I quite liked it. Like I say, the only problem with this was I was worried when it went in. I thought, is this not tight enough? Or it doesn't seem that tight. So when you put it on, there. This rotates extremely easy, look, that's taking virtually no, but it does hold, so that would be on your head, and then you do that to go down to your feet, or if you're pointing out, you would do that. It did hold, and I didn't have any problems, so I can't complain, but I just found, I was worried, I thought, is that going to, especially if it gets wet? It is IPX8, so you could be out in the rain, but this is a lovely soft rubber, beautiful, really soft headband, and in regards, because people say, well, this is too big, it's massive, and it's a 21700. To me, yes, I get what your point, but when I had this on my head, at no point did I think that's too heavy, I'm getting neck ache, or it's annoying on the forehead. None of that. So well designed. It looks quite simple, but it's really, really soft. It's almost like a silicone. Beautiful. And it's a 3-pointer, so it alleviates droop. If that wasn't a 3-pointer, I would expect that to droop because of the weight, but it isn't. It's a nice 3-pointer with decent setup. Really, really like it. And I think it has some of that reflective stuff on there, but okay, not many people go for that. I do like this, so you can just pull this and get the light out. Way easier than some of these other cheaper ones, so the thought of that. It's not magnetic like the H2 or Nova used to have. You could literally put it in without having to use them, and it had a little pullover band. That isn't the case here, but I suppose that reduces weight a bit. Okay, so let's get my charger. There it is. Okay, and I'll show you the charging function. So, Type A USB. I would have liked to have seen them have this and a Type C, because we're all moving to Type C soon, but never mind, I'm not going to knock them down for that. I realise not everyone does that. So plug it in. Now this will charge up to 2 amps, so when that's ready to accept and give a charge, you get green here, which is nice. So at least you know this is working, you don't have to go looking and seeing what's going on. And then the magnetic charge is brilliant, dead powerful, so as long as you've got that anywhere near the base, boom, simple as that. I didn't even aim that, look, straight on. And then it's 5 volts. Now, you know, the cell here is virtually full. It's not going to go up, but I didn't get it to go up to the levels they're claiming, but they're saying this will go up to 2 amps, and it goes red when it's charging there, just so you know what's happening. So I like the visual feedback. It's simple, it's a nice flat cable, so it's less likely to crimp up, and no problems. Dead strong battery, look, you don't even have to aim, just go push and it's on. Really nice. You could have this set up, and it works whilst it's charging, so you could have this in your pocket and have the light on at the same time when you're camping. That's a massive feature. Brilliant, well done Olight, thank you for that. Even on turbo, look, all modes work whilst it's charging. Fantastic. Boom, so I really like that. The problem is, in order to make that work, you have to use a proprietary cell. And what am I talking about with proprietary cells? You have to use one of their cells. So here's the inside. So here's the cell that it comes with. Looks like a standard 21700, however, 4000 milliamp, and it's lithium ion, so 3.6 there. Here's the thing. In order to decouple the positive and the negative here, it has this little plastic nub. Now, I didn't have a problem with this because it's wide enough where I was able to use my X-Star chargers. I've got a couple of them. This will charge on a normal charger as long as the contact point isn't flat. Mine has a little nub on, so it had no problems charging this whatsoever. But bear in mind, if, you know, put it this way, if I put a normal 21700 in, it just rattles about and it doesn't work. It's not going to work on the system down there because of the magnetic charging. Now that's a bit annoying because I've got an Army Tech here where I can put a normal cell in, still use mag charging. So how can they manage it where you don't need a proprietary cell? Yes, there is a slight difference in that when you want to charge it, you've got to disengage the circuit, magnetic charge. And then when you want to use it again, it tells you there, use, you just do that. I would prefer that system to this because I had a look and I had a few guys in the Discord channel have a look. I think it was Josie, so thanks mate. And he looked it up and it's 3 to 4 times the cost of a normal cell if you get it on a sale. So that's a bit annoying. You know, it was nearly 30 quid for one of their cells, whereas I can get a 40T on sale for like, you know, 7 or 8 quid. I mean, it's a little bit naughty that. But I understand they're protecting their own. And if they're the only ones making this proprietary cell, they're going to try and fleece you on it. So I'm going to knock them down a point for that because it is possible. Army Tech did it. So Olight, come on. Anyway, so just remember, if you are going to buy this, always put the positive down, which is the opposite of most cells. So the positive goes down there, it tells you there, positive on the bottom. And then this goes on here. So anyway, what I'm going to do is, in regards to the actual light itself, so in fact, we'll bring some figures up here. Okay, so here's some figures. So I did a little bit of testing because firstly I wanted to know if there was any flicker. So there was no flicker, in other words, pulse width modulation, where it will turn itself on and off rapidly to get a desired output. That can be irritating if the flicker is too slow and it's perceivable to the human eye. It can be extremely irritating. There was none of that with this, and as you can see from the graph. In regards to the actual tint, in other words, the Kelvin value, the colour of the beam, it was 5,471. So not way up there with the super cool whites where it's like really harsh and white, like 6,400, 6,500 level of Kelvin. And it's certainly not down there with the warm and neutrals. The neutral would be like sort of 4,500 to 5,000 sort of level of Kelvin. But this was 5,400, so very pleasant. It wasn't too harsh and it wasn't too warm. So I think they've made a good choice, bearing in mind you can't choose between a warm or a cool white. I would say this was more neutral than cool white, heading towards the cool white area. In regards to the colour rendering index, it was 70%, which is pretty decent. It's where you would expect for this. It's not supposed to be a high CRI output. A lot of these lights, when you go for high CRI, you therefore get more heat and you lose lumens. So I'm glad that they did that, because with headlights, and especially as a selling point, companies like to say more lumens equals better, and the mass market all sort of in unison scream and get excited. Whereas a lot of flashaholics, like the people on this channel, will prefer a higher colour rendering index. Although everything I looked at, there was no issues. I was out in nature and I didn't notice any issues because of the nice tint. It was fine. It's certainly not below 70 where it starts becoming apparent and irritating. Okay, so get those figures out of the way. Okay, so really I'm very happy with this, but there are a few little points though. So first, let's cover the good. So good points. So it's got a lock, which is the 2-second and hold, or you can just do that to lock it, which is no problem. In the E-lock mode, it has a low mode, so if I hold it for 2 seconds, I have this. I'll try that again, hold it for 2 seconds. It has this lovely little momentary mode, and then you can put it back in your pocket, it's still locked. I think that's an excellent feature. It works whilst charging, which I think is very important, especially for an outdoors themed light, which this is. So extremely important. It's got mag charging, it's got a magnetic base. I'll just show you that. Strong magnetic base, look at that, brilliant. Really, really good. I use this at work and all sorts of all places, and it sticks. It's nice. I mean, it's not ideal on this chromed surface here, but on a flat surface, it's brilliant. So mag charging, magnetic base. The proximity alert thing is actually a benefit. So yeah, okay, that's good. I mean, you can set timers on this as well, so you know it'll not go off in your pocket and things like that. But I'm not going to cover that on this. This is supposed to be a straightforward review, and I'm trying to keep my reviews short. It's very powerful, 2,500 lumens, and bear in mind it's a wide TIR. I'll show you that. Even on turbo there, look, I haven't got this that far from the camera, look, and it's already diffuse, beautiful. So it works extremely well in that regards, nice and powerful, deals with the heat well. This didn't get too hot, and then it doesn't step down for 2 minutes, which is really good. It's got a simple UI that you can understand in a few minutes. It's IPX8, it has a 1.5 meter drop rating, so brilliant, no problems with that. So there's a hell of a lot to like. However, proprietary cells which cost more. So if you want to carry a spare, that's a nuisance. Although yes, I get you can get the mag charger and charge it whilst it's running. All of those good things, I get that. But I have to figure that into the final figure that I'm going to give this. Price, you know, $100 or something for this. You could say, well, that's nothing. What about Omitech? Yeah, I get this, but Omitech have a 10 meter drop rating and a lifetime warranty and things like that. So I think it needs to be a little bit cheaper. I think $70, $75 max would probably be where it should be. There's no tint option whatsoever, but it's a mass market device. The knurling needs a little bit of a rethink, because this way it provides no row restriction, whereas that way beautiful. And it looks beautiful. Even in regards to the anodization, it's beautiful. This is desert tan. You can get it in blue and black, but I went for the desert tan. It's slightly heavy, yeah. It is slightly heavy, but I got used to that. And then once you get used to that, this becomes the new norm, in the same way that, you know, cell phones used to be tiny, and then every time they get a tiny bit bigger, people go, oh my god, it's the end of the world. But then everyone slowly accepts that that's what people want, and that's where the market's going, and they get used to it, and then they would never go back to a smaller screen and things like that. So okay, I get that. So proprietary cells, slightly heavy, yeah, but it's not an issue. Knurling needs refixing. No red light mode. I wish they could maybe add one down here. I was worried about this cutout. I thought it would affect the beam, but because this is so diffuse, it doesn't, and it still looks beautiful. The plastic on here could do with a little bit of an upgrade. I was able to cause an impression on it with my thumbnail, so that's not very good, is it? So I don't think this plastic's particularly hard. But if they added a bit of glass, you're going to lose transmission of light, and then, okay, I get it. And they want you to buy a new one in 2 years' time anyway. Okay, so fair enough. So, loads to like, but a few things not to like. So price, proprietary cells, no tint option, no red light, the nail needs slightly heavy, you know, things like that. So I think it's very fair, and I'll stand by the fact that I'll give this an 8. I think that's fair. I can stand by that, honestly. It's good. Mass market are going to love this. Although, to be fair, I think mass market may get annoyed with this because they'll put it on and think, my God, this is massive. I think probably for the mass market, you'd probably want to go for a mini, which is about that big. There is a mini version, so you may want to consider the mini version. I haven't tested that, so I can't give you any advice on that. But go and look at that. But if you want a full-size one with loads of capacity, which is going to last you days on a hiking trip, I would go for this personally. So there you go. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to consider what it looks like compared to the competition. So what we'll do is, in fact, hang on. We'll bring up a picture here. Okay, bring up a picture. Right, what I did was I went out with a load of other lights, headlamps, similar size cells and what have you, and 18650s, and I thought, right, I'm going to test this. So I went to a location, outdoors, in the middle of nowhere, in a valley, pitch black, and I shined them all at the same point for the same amount of time, at the same height, same place. I try to keep it as fair as possible. And these are the results, so let's have a look at them. So Olight Wizard Pro on the top left there. Okay, so what can I say there? It's nice and diffuse, although there's a slight fall off on the far right there, but it's not bad, and it's doing the important thing, which is lighting up the ground. So if you're hiking, you need that, otherwise you get twisted ankles and all sorts of stuff. I think that does a good job. It's got a warm tint there. Now I showed you that at the start of the video, so you may already be aware of that. I think that looks nice. In the distance and the center, there's no punch through, as you can see. If we compare that to the ScienceSky HS5R, which uses a different emitter and it's a lot whiter, there is a punch through in the middle there, but as a consequence of that, the ground is less lit up and you've got drop off on the far right, definitely, and far left. You can actually see the beam there. Can you see it in the middle there? That white shaft there, it's translucent in a manner there, but you can see that it's got punch through. So if you're looking at something in a distance, I mean, we'll just pull that in, the comparison between the Olight and the ScienceSky. That middle section is way better in the ScienceSky, but then what do you want your light to do, because it's not so good on the periphery, is it? Okay, so we'll zoom back out of there. Okay, so top right, Fireflies PL47 Gen 2, very bright light. I don't even know if I had that on the full mode, because I thought it's not fair running that at 4,500 lumens and then the other ones are like at 1,000 and 2,000. Probably, you know, not very fair. Actually, that Fireflies is got drop off on the left and the right. It's more punch. It's a bit diffuse, but it's okay, and it's slightly harsh. And the step down on turbo, and that's ludicrous. It's like 30 seconds, so over the top, very heavy, and it looks a bit fugly, but never mind. Okay, so then the Nightcore, middle of the left there, Nightcore HC65. It's the V2, not the original V1. I had no problems with the V1, very nice light. The V2 moved to a TIR setup where you've got a high CRI, a central beam, and the red light mode. So much more functions. Now in regards to its actual working there, I think that comes out quite nice. It looks more vibrant than the last three we looked at. The colours are popping more. It looks great. It's lighting up everything really well, but you could argue that the Olight doing a better job on the ground. So you've got to ask yourself, do I want to twist an angle, yes or no? And bear in mind, the Olight and the Nightcore were both on turbo settings there. But no problems with that. I really like the Nightcore. Olight Perun 2, this is what we're looking at. So here's an interesting thing. You can see that central region there, quite wide, so that the punch on this is wide. And then you've got light to the sides, which is slightly less, but it's just as good spread-wise as the Olight and all the others, but it just looks less. That's not fall off, it's because the central shaft there is so wide, which is brilliant. So you get this central shaft which fires out and gives you distance, and then the peripheral is, you can't even see it on that, I could see it when I was stood there to the right and the left. It's very wide, which is exactly what you need in a headlamp. The more left and right you can see when you're trying to negotiate, you know, a bank on a hill or a path, it's really a massive important thing. That's just something I've learned from years and years of night hiking anyway. So really impressed with it. It does the job it's supposed to do extremely well. I was very happy with it. It was a pleasure to use, I'll put it that way. So Sofern SP40, budget light there, using an orange peel reflector, not a TIR. Very cheap. He comes with the Sofern cell. It's a budget star, but it's starting to show there. It's got that little bit of punch there. It's got a bit of a strange tint to it there, but it works. There's nothing wrong with it. The punch and distance is okay. It's not as good as the Nightcore or the Olight or something like that, or the Science Guy. In fact, it does an okay job. It's very underrated for its price though, so it's something you may want to go and have a look at. If you think, I'm not spending $100 on an Olight, what's going on here? Go and have a look at the SP40. I don't work for Sofern, never have, but something you want to look at because it's very cheap. I've got one in the car. Lumentop HL3A, quite underrated. It's a triple emitter there with a decent, fully featured UI from Lumentop. Pretty good, but there's fall off left and right, isn't there? So is that really a headlamp that you'd want to take hiking? Probably not for me, but it's beautiful. I do like it, and the punch is quite wide and pleasant. Then you've got Luminite compass, very expensive. Now, interestingly, look at the fall off on the left and the right. So even though it's a TIR, it's beautiful. I have used it extensively and enjoy it. You could argue, well, it's not doing the job of a hiking light because it's not wide enough. Yeah, okay, I accept that. I still like it, but you might want to look elsewhere, because if you want width, you know, for a TIR, you want to be looking at the Olight or the Armitech or the Nightcore, something like that. So the last one I checked it against was the Woburn H1. The Woburn H1 was kind of like a copy version of the Nightcore HC65V1. Looks extremely similar, but still very good. It's got like a smooth reflector and an auxiliary mode, which is nice. So you've got added functionality there, but it's slightly lacking there in output, as you can see. Nothing wrong with it. It does an okay job, and it's got that little bit of punch in the middle there, quite wide. Nothing exceptional there, though, is there? But bear in mind that that's outputting around 1,000 lumens. The Olight's at 2,500. The Armitech's at 2,200. You know, these other lights are much higher output, so it's a little bit unfair. So it's giving you similar results to the SP40 above it. Okay, so let's take that away. Right, that's out the way. Okay, so very interesting. So as you can see, it did a great job. I had no problems with it. I really liked it. It's just the price and the cells and things like that. I mean, the lights I compared it to there were here's the Fireflies PL47. This is the Gen 2. They made a few changes. And it is a headlamp in 90 degree, and you can get a clip for it. It has auxiliary lights, and it is a quad emitter. Very bright, you know, extremely bright there. But the heat off that's ludicrous. And then even though it's got this huge heat sink here, you've got 30 seconds, then it's stepping down. So, you know, and they're quite expensive still. I also compared it against the Nightcore HC65. Added functionality on this. You have a red light mode, which I really like for not ruining night vision. There's no mag charging on this, but there is a port which you can charge. And it's got quite a nice UI, and it's a TIR there. So, and you have an auxiliary high CRI mode if you need it. Really good, and there are 3D printed options available to attach this and other lights to molly webbing and things like that, which I quite like. And then you just use those two attachments there, which is nice. Nice headband on this. It's never let me down. I've used this extensively. Quite expensive, but it's something you definitely want to look at if you're looking for an all-in-one. So there you go. There's that one. I tested against the. I mean, this is old now. There's an Elf or whatever the hell they call it now. But really nice light, very warm tint. The UI is slightly different. You've got like 1 click, then 2 and 3. So you've got 3 mode sets, and then within those mode sets you can go through them by holding. So quite interesting. And it's got this little, if it does it should flash green. There you go. You can have little modes like that, just so you know that it's running. Mag charging, don't have to use a proprietary cell. I've dropped this, look. This has a 10-meter drop rate. This absolutely pranged off a load of concrete. It still works. Never had any problems with it. I think I dropped it on the side as well. Where's there was definitely something I knocked on the side. I did break the headband on this originally, so they sent me a new one. No questions asked. So, you know, decent company. But the price on these Armitechs is getting ludicrous. There's just an option, similar sort of output, about 2000-ish. There was the Luminite. Now, if you remember from those images I showed you, the Luminite slightly didn't have it wasn't going wide enough, but okay, maybe you don't want that. This would probably be better for certain applications. I love this. This is, look, that metal retention. So it just goes in, you just go like that, clip. Much better than some of these other ones where it takes forever pulling them in and out of rubber. Even this is annoying, although this is a better design. It's easier to get in, and you can use this pull tab. I still prefer this. I think they should all use this metal design, and it rotates nicely. The anodization's been brilliant. Magnetic charging. You can actually use, don't tell anyone, but you can actually use the Olight charger on this, but don't tell anyone. Boosh. Okay, so there you go, and very nice. Very expensive though, unfortunately. Woburn H1, which is kind of a copy of the HC65 V1 from Nightcore. Extremely similar, although instead of having a button on the top or anything like that, it's on the side, and you do have a flap for USB charging, so you can charge it. Unfortunately, it's micro USB, not Type-C, so please can we get all things from now on, 2023, everything should be Type-C. Please, I'm begging, because you know, time is getting on. You've got added functionality of modes here, which is nice to see. Very cheap. This is certainly something to look at if you want an all-in-one and you can't afford the HC65 V2 or the V1. You might want to look at this. You'll still have fun with this. It's got a nice smooth reflector there that works, but it is wide. But this is obviously slightly superior. There's the budget one I mentioned, the SP40. Extremely cheap, but it does it. It's got this lovely wide bowl with a nice wide push to it. It's got an orange pure reflector, so you get a little bit of throw even at this moderate level of output. And because it's a moderate level of output, your cells last longer. It's an 18650. I mean, you can see I've used this extensively. Look, the anodization's coming off. I've got this one. I've got one in the car. I recommend it to people as a budget one. It's brilliant, and it has charging built in. So there you go. Unfortunately, it's micro USB again. I wish, you know, companies, come on, Type-C, come on, Type-C for the win. I also tested it against the this is the Lumen top. Nice, really nice, but it's overlooked all the time, and I don't know why. I think it's because mainstream probably don't like the complexity of the UI. The button seems like an afterthought, but you can lock it. It's got an E-lock. But nice and small, and this is brilliant. I really like this. It's got these little grippers on the band, and this feels very soft but solid. So good design, beautiful tint on this. Really liked it. I just think it's overlooked all the time. You never hear people talking about it, but a nice little light. So to add to the pile, and then I looked at the Science Sky. Again, Science Sky gets overlooked. This is a Type-C, which is fantastic. I could never work out how to get out of this retainer thing, but you can. It has been shown to me by a subscriber. You can get it out, although it's certainly not straightforward. Extremely robust. I like this on it, so it helps you turn it. The UI was a bit funny. Once you get used to it, it's fine, and it's got red light mode and all sorts of stuff, even though it doesn't look like it behind there. And it's got a bit of push, as you've seen from the images. The button's okay, and the band's lovely and soft. And I love this metal. See, they're not, use decent components that last. I like to see that. Extremely solid light. Okay, so enough of that rubbish. I will give this 8 out of 10. I've done loads of comparisons, and I've done loads of videos where they're all on at the same time, and you can look and see exactly what the differences are. I've spent weeks on this, so hopefully it'll be a help to you. 8 out of 10, that's just my personal opinion. I'm not an expert. And if you have any comments, stick them down below. Right, I'm off. Good night.